The word Ethiopia is actually a Greek word that simply means burnt face. So,
Not woke.
not woke. AdventFit is a podcast that has a holistic approach to physical, spiritual, and mental well-being. In each episode, we share productive ways to live a healthier and happier lifestyle. Unlike other podcasts in this space, AdventFit gives you a comprehensive approach to fitness without the fluff for the everyday Christian. Happy Black History Month, everyone. Black History Month, which was originally Negro History Week, was created by Carter G. Woodson, aka the father of Black history, is the author of The Miseducation of the Negro.
So it used to be a week, but now it's a month. I always just thought that was just something that was handed over, like, oh, this is your Black History Month, the shortest month of the year.
Yeah, a lot of people think that. But it was actually chosen because of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass.
So 2 people had birthdays in February, and that's why the guy chose.
Yeah, so Carter G. Woodson chose February.
Carter
G. Woodson.
Carter
G. Woodson.
Carter G. Woodson.
He chose that week because it had the week of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. Yeah, even though Abraham Lincoln is, yeah. But
wait, what's wrong with Abraham Lincoln?
He's not really.
He's not black, but he abolished slavery.
So the whole thing about Abraham Lincoln, like, he wasn't for abolishing slavery, and the whole thing about the slavery thing for Emancipation Proclamation was that those on the Union side, those who had slaves, he let them keep their slaves. Those who were against the Union, the Confederate states, he abolished slavery on that side. So he was like, yeah, you guys, slavery is bad for y'all. But for my people, my homies, y'all can keep y'all slaves. Y'all good. So he was okay.
I'm saying he's not perfect, but he was doing it in the right direction.
I'm saying he's not a hero. He's like neutral. Like, he doesn't care. So his quote is, "My paramount object in this struggle is to save the Union. And it is not either to save or destroy slavery. If I could save the Union without freeing any slave, I would do it. And if I could save it by freeing all the slaves, I would do it. And if I could save it by freeing some and leaving others alone, I would also do that. What I do about slavery and the colored race, I do because I believe it helps to save the Union. And what I forbear because I do not believe it would help to save the Union." So it wasn't about slavery. It was about saving the Union. He didn't care about the slaves. He was like, yeah,
but maybe he said that just to appease some people.
No.
Like, I watched the Abraham Lincoln movie with Daniel Day-Lewis. I think I know Abraham Lincoln.
I watched Abraham versus the Zombies. I know Abraham Lincoln. Let's read Genesis 2, verse 10 to 14. Now a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from there it parted and became 4 riverheads. The name of the first is Fishon. It is the one which skirts the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold. And the gold of that land is good. Bellium and the onyx stone are there. The name of the second river is Gihon. It is the one which goes around the whole land of Cush. The name of the third river is Hiddekel. It is the one which goes towards the east of Assyria. The fourth river is Euphrates. In verse 13, the Bible says that the second river in Gihon, which surrounds the land of Ethiopia, or Cush. So Cush and Ethiopia are used interchangeably in the Bible. The word Ethiopia is actually a Greek word that simply means burnt face. So
not woke.
not woke. Cush here describes not only the continent of Africa, but also includes Asia and Mesopotamia, which is the Middle East. As a matter of fact, some scholars claim that in ancient times, a portion of what is now called Asia, extended from West China to East Africa, was not called the Middle East, but East Africa, by the children of Ham who settled in those areas.
Now, the thing that makes me wonder about this stuff is because this is all before the flood.
Yeah.
Right? So...
And the flood messed up a lot of things. So
like, how do they really know what location? Are they just saying that because they're like, well, these are things that these are locations and rivers that we are familiar with now, post flood, like you said, I feel like the flood mixed so much stuff up.
Yeah. So like the whole thing about the Middle East, like that wasn't a thing like before the flood. But I'm just reading this to say that Black history did not start with slavery. No. You see, because in the beginning, Touch your neighbor and say in the beginning. I used to
Your
hate
shirt. In the beginning, your shirt.
in the beginning. I used to hate when pastors used to do that.
But in the beginning, it didn't look like that though.
Maybe not, but
No, because I'm saying the flood.
Yeah, the flood.
The flood made the whole
definitely.
the whole land so different. The globe. If they made a globe pre-flood, it would not look like the continents.
But this is just for emphasis.
Yeah.
For emphasis.
Okay.
But I used to hate when pastors did that in church, like say touch your neighbor or turn to your neighbor. I used to just sit there still, look straight ahead. Like if I just stayed straight ahead and did not move, it would be over soon.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna touch you because COVID.
Appreciate it.
I mean, even though we're
not
right
6 feet, we're not 6 feet. So
we're just the stuff we do to bring episodes to you.
Yes,
put our lives in the line.
We're committed to the task. Now let's talk about Jesus. When you think about Jesus, what do you see? Probably a long blonde hair, blue eyes, and skin whiter than snow.
Whiter than snow. Yes, whiter than snow.
Yep. One of the best known American artworks of the 20th century is the Head of Christ picture. It was created in the 1940s by a religious painter named Warner Salmon. The same features depicted on the Head of Christ pictures are prevalent in Christianity today. White Jesus has been used as a tool to propel slavery, the Crusades, Nazi ideology, and to uphold white supremacy today. Anthea Butler, associate professor of religious studies and Africana studies at the University of Pennsylvania, has also warned of the damaging impact of the depictions of white Jesus. She says, if Jesus is white and God is white, she said, then authority is white.
The color of Jesus, whatever color Jesus is, doesn't make that color superior.
Yeah. So it doesn't. But people have used it to show their superiority. They've used it in the Crusades for Nazi ideology and for slavery and for many different things. They've used the color of Jesus, the white Jesus, to show their superiority. Bible scholar Christina Cleveland adds, by negating his true identity as a dark-skinned oppressed minority, slaveholders were better able to justify the master-slave hierarchy and forget Jesus' ministry to set the oppressed free. The Bible doesn't really talk about how Jesus looked, but the first century Jewish writer Josephus from 37 to 100 AD penned the earliest non-biblical testimony of Jesus.
And that's important to note, is non-biblical. So people like to use him as a reference to kind of like to show like perspectives of people who were not biblical writers.
Yeah.
However, it's important to note that he's not a Bible writer.
And especially when discussing if God is real or if Jesus is real with non-believers, like you can't really use the Bible to prove someone who doesn't believe in Jesus, like to prove that he's real. Like the Bible is great to use for Christians, but to try to prove that he's real to somebody who's not a Christian using the Bible, like doesn't make sense. Like, do you understand what I'm saying?
But what I'm saying is important to not look at Josephus' writings as inspiration.
Oh yeah. But it is he was.
You can use that some level of historical like comparison.
It's not spiritual stuff, but it's like historical information. So what he wrote was, at that time also there appeared a certain man of magic power, if it be meant to call him a man, whose name is Jesus, whom certain Greeks call a son of God, but his disciples call him the true prophet. He was a man of simple appearance, mature age, black-skinned, short growth, 3 cubits tall, hunchbacked, proganthus, a long nose, eyebrows meeting above the nose.
Hunchback?
That's where they put him. That's where he put hunchbacked, with scanty curly hair, but having a line in the middle of the head after the fashion of the Nazarenes, with an undeveloped beard.
Undeveloped beard.
Like there, he's going after him.
Describing a hunchback guy can't grow beard.
And then the earliest depiction of Jesus is a painting found in 1921 on a wall of the baptismal chamber of the house church at Dura Europus, Syria, and dated around 235 AD. The Jesus that is healing the paralytic man is short and dark-skinned with a small curly afro.
That's interesting.
That's interesting.
In a biblical perspective, so like you said about Cush, right, and stuff like that, it mentions about the man. The Bible has words for for people who were darker than the typical Jewish man.
Yeah.
In that time, I mean, you read about Simon the Niger, right? The word Niger is basically meaning black. So it specified that one of the disciples was nicknamed Niger. Was nicknamed like basically the black guy. It talks about the guy who carried the cross of Jesus, the Cyrene or the Cyrene, and that is known as a place that was considered a part of Africa. So we read about different people, and you read about like the Ethiopian eunuch and stuff like that. So it makes it clear that there were people in the Bible that were not Jewish but were considered African, and then like I said, the Simon the Niger was a guy who was considered dark.
And the Jews of the Bible, not the Jews of that we have today with the curly lines and they're not the same people. They weren't the Jews that were in the Bible. They're different Jews.
I mean, I don't know, but and then like with Moses, we read about him marrying a woman, and they call her out for her skin color, and God basically cursed Miriam and Aaron with leprosy because of the fact that they were being prejudiced against the skin color of Zipporah, and that just shows that she was definitely a darker shade than Moses was. And then you also have the Song of Solomon that talks about the Shulamite woman, and she talks about how she was looked down upon herself because she was darker, because of the sun beat upon her because she worked down the field, and that was considered negative in their minds because and that's a lot of society nowadays.
Colorism, where that's still happening now.
Where because you being darker represented the fact that you had a job where you had to work out in the field.
For slavery, like if you were lighter, you were in the house. If you were dark, you were out in the field.
So I don't fully agree with the fact that that Jesus or people or the Jewish people were basically like look like an African individual.
To say like they weren't from being African, and the whole dirt like that, those are multiple, and the whole text from Josephus, like that's a lot of clues towards the whole whiteness was.
Are you talking about Adam and Eve, or are you talking about Jesus?
I'm talking about altogether the world began in Africa. Like evolutionists and creationists believe on that point. A lot of creationists.
I'm just saying it's hard to determine exact location of where our Garden of Eden was, because once the flood came, it's kind of you don't know what the locations are.
It's you can have doubts, but it's widely accepted. Africa is the second largest continent. The first is Asia. The second is Africa. So we can't like put a GPS system and go put it on Waze.
That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say you can't be like this is the exact pinpoint pin in on the GPS kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree with that, but we can agree that it's in Africa though. Like it's not this. It's things were moved around, but Africa is large. It's huge.
Like I said, the world looked different, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Why would they describe people as black if they were already black?
Oh, because colorism. That's what happens now in the world. Like even people.
I wouldn't say that it's not like the opposite of black is white. I'm not saying that it's because they called one person black that they were white tone.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that they recognize the difference between the Ethiopian and the Jewish man.
That's what happens in today's day. Like there's colorism is a big problem. Even people who are black, people call people black because they're darker skin than them. Like people call them like it says burnt, but that's what people say, like you're burnt or you're ashy as derogatory terms for somebody who's darker than them.
The Bible talks about like, could the Ethiopian change his skin? Like, why would it say that? It's like, well, why wouldn't it say, can the Jewish man change the skin. Why wouldn't it not just mention, can we change our skin? But it purposely said Ethiopian because it is trying to highlight the skin color of Ethiopia.
They have a darker skin color.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. That it's not that the Jewish man is clearly not the same skin color as an Ethiopian.
Yeah, of course, people have different shades.
Yeah,
like there's many shades of.
That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but they're not super white.
I'm saying that wouldn't make sense.
Yeah,
like I said, geographically, it wouldn't make sense to say that somebody is white skin, blue eyes, blonde hair.
But that's what we see on 90% of the Bible program that you watch. The Bible is Black history. Like there's Black history in the Bible. So like people saying like Christianity is not a white man's religion, and the Bible is not how it's depicted on all these shows. Black history has many aspects to it. It's also about the struggle. That's not where it started, but it's also about the struggle, and the struggle still continues now. And some people are conflicted about can we be involved in social justice as a Christian? And I think you should be involved in social justice as a Christian. And I have 2 verses to explain that. There's Luke 4 verse 18, which says, "The Spirit of the Lord is on me because he has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim freedom for the prisoners and recovery of sight for the blind, to set the oppressed free." And one of my favorite verses is Isaiah 1 verse 17, which is, "Learn to do right, seek justice, defend the oppressed, and take up the cause of the fatherless."
I love the fact that you brought those verses dealing with the oppressed and the fatherless. That stuff is Bible, and in AdventFit, we believe in the Bible. Spirituality is one of the fundamental pillars of Advent fitness.
Yes.
It's not just about what you eat. It's not about the exercises you do. It's also about the way you live spiritually, because your spiritual life should affect all of your life. And so continue to check out our episodes here at AdventFit. Go to adventfit.org to check out the rest of them. And if you want to check out our personal social media accounts, go to WayneJamel.com.
And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Mr. Woke. That's WHOKE.
And until next time, I'm Wayne Jamel.
And I'm C. Jeffrey White. And the C is for Kush, because in the beginning. And we'll see you next week, folks.
If you enjoyed this episode, why don't you click the like button
and the notification bell.
Ding!
And if you really liked it, please share this episode with someone close to you.
But before you do that, subscribe to AdventFit.
Exactly.